The Declaration of Nexus by A. Little. Prologue. It is natural for a man with power to want more power, or to be vengeful of his high position in life. Weaker people will always gather towards those who have more power and money, which is why we cannot stop the elites from controlling us. That is the purpose of Nexus, to show and accept the good and evil, and give sight of reality to the politically correct, or to those that are blinded by blissful ignorance, in order to save our country, maybe the entire world. People must stand united against those that seek to divide us, and only through a nexus can we hope to understand the polar opposite ideas of good versus evil, which would allow us to make better choices with more clarity and respect for our fellow man, so we may put an end to the plans that the elite have to control us, or, as our founding fathers said, united we stand, divided we fall. Step 1. People must start researching facts and ideas behind bills and amendments to the Constitution or political candidates, and stop listening to the political puppets of the mainstream media. That would put an end to 60% of the false disinformation that is out there, and would allow people to develop their own opinions about things. However, this can only be achieved if people do the research for themselves, and will allow the power of the vote given back to us. Or as the saying goes, he who has the knowledge has the power. When we have enough informed people, we will have the power to put an end to all the lies, disinformation, and manipulation that has corrupted our country. Step 2. After there is enough informed people, they will want to restructure the entire government. And a great way to do this is to have two different websites. The first would be similar to Facebook, where people can go and vote on amendments to the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, therefore bypassing and possibly eliminating Congress, which is another 20% of the problem. The second website would be very similar to Craigslist, where people could come and discuss corruption without fear or persecution, and individuals or businesses could offer large sums of money to anyone that has proof of corruption, and would allow us to conduct exit polls in our local communities. The first website would restructure our government, while the second website would reinforce the restructured government. As well as I have a quantum cryptography idea that could assimilate and prevent all hacking abilities within the future, but that will be disclosed in its own video. Step 3. Our founding fathers warned us of foreign entanglements and how we should not get involved in the political affairs of other countries, because when we do, we inadvertently allow them to be allowed in our political affairs, such as Iran-Contra and Americans not being allowed to sue the Saudis for 9/11, even though we have 28 pages proving what they've done today. Now we have to deal with ISIS as a political puppet that has been bred and financed by the CIA to cause instability and to overthrow governments in the Middle East. Now they're on America's back doorstep, which is exactly what our founding fathers said would happen. It also gives our government the perfect excuse to suspend our rights over terrorism, just like what happened with the Boston bomber. We must put an end to the CIA blame games, which is just another step in taking back control of our country. Step 4. A few people know that the Federal Reserve Bank is a privately owned corporation that the President can only make recommendations to. Even fewer people know that the Federal Reserve Bank, by law, cannot be audited. John F. Kennedy was the first president to call for the abolishment and audit. 2 months later, he was assassinated. His death was proof that our country has been taken over and that they control our democracy, which is why we must call for an abolishment of the Federal Reserve Bank, so we the people can control the organizations that we fund at home and abroad, thereby ending the cash flow to the elite that use it to control political puppets like ISIS and the mainstream media. Step 5. Using the restructured government and new economic policies to build up the nexus and to make it sustainable for future generations would allow us to see what our tax dollars are being spent on, which would allow us to make better decisions on funding certain things. Transparency is key to democracy.